Do you know that celebrities get so nervous they want to throw up before they go on stage? I once heard a story, I'm not sure how true it is, my uncle told me, that Bob Dylan used to get such extreme stage fright that he would throw up before going out on stage for a concert. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ed Travers. I'm an Anglican priest in the Diocese of Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. I serve in the amazing parish of Christ Church, Shelburne, in the beautiful town of Shelburne, Nova Scotia. And today, I want to talk to you about insecurity. Insecurities, and I have a ton of them. As a matter of fact, I can't watch these videos after I've posted them to YouTube. I make my wife watch them and tell me how they were. But insecurities, most of us have them in some form or another. They can get in our way, they can cripple us, but they can also fuel us. They can be the things that help us rise above others. I recently watched an interview with Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is a musician and a speaker and just, I think, a natural all-around performer, though he would probably never describe himself that way. And in the interview, he talked about how he used to bump into comedians like George Carlin, for example, and they would ask him, is there many people out there? Were they laughing? Were they a good crowd? Were they warm? Because they were really nervous about how they were going to be received when they got on stage. And of course, Henry Rollins, who was opening for them, would say, "What are you talking about, man? The place is jam-packed. They're all here for you. They love you. They can't wait for you." And Carlin just couldn't accept it. If celebrities like George Carlin and Henry Rollins and Bob Dylan have insecurities that the audience isn't going to accept and love and appreciate what it is that they're being offered, well, what hope does the rest of us have? Well, see, what those guys have figured out is they've figured out how to turn that insecurity, as I said just a few seconds ago, they've figured out how to turn that insecurity into fuel. They've allowed that insecurity to be a driving force in their life. They don't allow their insecurities to take over. Instead, they turn their insecurities into tools that allow them to continually build themselves up. The reason I'm telling you this is because in the church, one of the things that I often hear people tell me, and I've gone to conferences on this kind of thing. I've spent the day speaking with other clergy and with the laity in large group events. Do you remember what large group events were like? Anyway, I've had conversations with people who've told me, well, I would love to share the gospel, but I wouldn't do it right. I would love to share the gospel, but I don't necessarily know how. I'd love to share the gospel, but nobody would listen to me. I'd love to share the gospel, but everybody would think I'm a fool. What they're describing is their love to share the gospel except for this or that or another insecurity. And what we have to do is recognize that if I have an insecurity, and if you have an insecurity, and if Bob Dylan has an insecurity, and if George Carlin had an insecurity, then chances are the people that we're speaking to have an insecurity as well. And if they have an insecurity, if we can capture and utilize our own, then we will be more authentic to the world. If we allow our insecurities to be part of what it is that we're offering, if we allow our insecurities to be a tool, if we allow our insecurities to help us increase that which we are offering, then we will come across to the world as more authentic, as more sincere. That's a good thing. People don't want, some perfect smile staring back at them who've never experienced a problem in their life, who've never experienced poverty of any sort, who've never experienced shame or guilt, who've never experienced trauma or trouble. They don't want that person being the one speaking the gospel. They don't want a perfect person sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with them, they would never hear it. They would never hear the words because it wouldn't mean anything. There'd be no connection between that person and the person speaking. But if you're nervous, if you're afraid, if you're insecure, you're real. And the gospel is not meant to be shared by a fake smile. The gospel is meant to be shared by a fisherman, by a tax collector, by the broken. And as a matter of fact, those of us, all of us, who have an insecurity, those insecurities come from places of breaks. They come from places of mistakes. Those insecurities come from bad decisions. Those insecurities come from horrible weekends. Those insecurities come from pain. And it's through those little breaks in who we are that God's light shines the brightest. So please, I encourage you, I implore you, if you're one of those people that would say, well, I would share the gospel, but whatever, whether it's nobody would listen, whether it's people would think I'm crazy, whether it's I don't know enough, whether it's whatever that thing, that excuse happens to be, whatever that reason happens to be, you're exactly the person that should be sharing the gospel. Insecurities and all, inadequacies and all, brokenness and all. The world is desperate to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ spoken by a person just like you. You may not know the right words right now, but they'll come. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God make his face shine upon you. May you know the peace of God's presence in your life. And may God's words be ever on your lips. Amen. Thank you for joining us, everybody. These are two of my kids. If you liked what you saw today, please hit the like button on YouTube. If you want to be notified of the things that we do in the future, please hit the subscribe button. Now, while I got your attention, I want to tell you about a little project that we're doing at our church. I've found that my kids, because we do morning prayer every day together, that they're beginning to learn all these deep and wonderful and awesome prayers that we're doing. So, if you happen to live in Shelburne County, Nova Scotia, and you're interested in a little project, then I'm going to include a link in the description below that you can go to where you will find all these prayers. Then you can teach your kid or your grandchild these prayers, and then what I want you to do is videotape it, send it to me. And if you send it to me, I will include it in a special video we're going to do in a couple of weeks, and I will also send that child a special gift from the parish. So, once again, if you're in Shelburne County, Nova Scotia, and you want to teach your kids some prayers, there's a link in the description below. Send me a video of them saying the prayers, and we'll send them a special gift. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Amen.